That should be my intro now. We're back.
And we're back for the second time.
Second time. All right, so we're back with Mike for the second time. We're going to talk. We have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Nope.
I didn't tell you this until now because I'm like, this will probably spark a conversation, or it won't, and it'll be short-lived. I don't drink very often, and went out last night and had way too much tequila. So I'm just slugging caffeine, and this is going to be an interesting podcast. The first hungover-ish for podcast I've ever done.
So it's either going to be a great topic of conversation or you're going to pass out or something's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah. Friend's a bartender, and we went out last night, and I wasn't paying attention, just talking. And next thing I know, I'm like, that was too many. Yeah. Too many.
It sneaks up on you. That's how it happens, though, right?
Is. I'm not a big drinker. I don't want to say I'm not. I'll drink, but I don't do like if we get together and go get a cigar, I'm not going to have like a tequila. Like I'm either drinking or I'm not drinking. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like I'm either going to get drunk or I'm not going to get drunk.
You're not the guy that goes to the bar at 4:30 and goes, "Hey, let me just get a drink to kill an hour."
Yeah. That's not. I don't. That doesn't exist.
It's either you're going hard or going home.
There's no middle ground. So. Anyways, that'll be fun today. But let's talk about, I know last time we touched on your laser company, but I think we should back up even more and talk about how you started the company.
Sure.
Because a lot of people, I hear it a lot from fathers that like, oh, they wish they had more time. Like even my ex-wife, she talks of like, she's an employee. So like she wishes she had more time to do things and able to pick Sloan up and all those kinds of things. And while being self-employed sounds amazing, you and I both know that the workload is relentlessly heavy, and
Truth.
Sometimes you wish you had a 9 to 5, but for people out there who want to do it or want to start something and are like, man, I don't know how to start. I started with nothing. You started with nothing. And so I think we should talk about how you started this whole thing with a credit card.
Yeah, sure. So I think it was like 2019. I was working in a practice. I still am in the same practice. So I'm still doing that as well as an associate right now. So my partner came to me. He's like, "Hey, I got an interesting idea." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "We're talking about the laser business." And I was like, "I'm in." So from there, the idea started to matriculate to what it is today. But when you look back about these steps and the processes and the things you had to put together and where you are, not many people really understand the amount of work. And it's not just work, it's time. So you have to balance time from all things, from in family to being a dad to being everything. So like basically we took this idea and all we used was a credit card. I mean, people say that. And, we're still, I believe, far away from our end goal, because it never really an end. Like once you hit your and it's never really top of the mountain. It's usually like a plateau, right? You go up in this plateau, I got to go to the next site.
Of course.
So we took this credit card, and I mean, it was maybe like $1,000 also an investment in there, but of cash wise, but still, it's basically a credit card.
Sure.
And we built to where now we have 50 plus locations of Relief Now laser doctors who are super into what we're doing and joining the mission of ditching the drugs and skipping the scalpel. And it really grew into something from nothing. So it's amazing to actually watch this happen in real time. And sometimes I have to look back and go, wow, like there's a lot of little pieces and steps things that had to get done and figuring out and adding different technologies to streamline different processes and adding people to the team, taking away people from the team. So building a business while being a parent and a father is definitely something that is hard. It's about time allocation. You have to make sure that when you are doing things for the business, you're focusing on the business. And when it's time to now work with the family or be in the family, it's definitely important to be present, be off your phone, sure. Be focusing on that time. And listen, there are still times when I have to check myself. Like I'm sure you do too.
All the time. I just had Sloan on the podcast we recorded. I got to do some editing because there's like long gaps of pauses and stuff. So it's not going to release yet, and I haven't had time to get back and listen to it. But one of the questions I asked her, she brought up how she doesn't want to be on the phone as much. And like, I even got out of my way to try and we got away from the phone jail that I created during the holidays.
I remember that we did talk about that last process.
So we got away from it because holidays happened. I moved the phone jail on top of the fridge because there was no room for all the other decorations. So like and then I was on my phone more, just inherently working. And I just posted yesterday, I'm taking a break from social media for the next 2 to 4 weeks. The mindless scrolling that I was doing, like, I think everybody needs to take a break from it, but it bleeds in. Yes. Also, because having the time up separated is super important. But I think that also what you show your child when you start your own business, like you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't a laser expert.
No, I mean, so with the laser side of things, we knew how to do laser. We knew that it was getting amazing results within the practice. We saw the changes of people that went far beyond chiropractic. And the other issue that we were filling a need for doctors because they were sick and tired of the insurance companies.
Yep.
So we help let's backtrack. We help doctors take the laser and create a business around it with the business model, and it keeps away from insurance. So there was a need and there was an issue because we were having that in our practice. Right. So, yeah, we're laser experts more so now. But when we first started it, it was like, we know how to do the business. We're growing this business. We were doing X amount a month in just laser therapy, which was private pay. People were paying for it because it was new and it was fresh and they were getting results. Friends were telling friends. And, we built this whole model based off of those points and based off of those pillars, if you will. And more people bought into it because they're seeing the same results in their practice. Yeah. That means people are 5Xing, 10Xing their practice. And it's amazing to watch. And I'm so happy for them to see this happen. And it's like watching a child grow. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's important that, going back to your thing before with the phone, because we're so connected to everything. I have docs texting me all the time. I have our CRM always sending messages. Like, you have to put your phone down and be present. And again, like, I have to check myself all the time.
Because it's inherent in your nature, at least where we're from, to just go. Like, just work, more.
Because it's almost like, and people say, well, if you're not making money off of a business, it's a hobby. I also think another thing applies. People work on a business, even if they're making money, it can still count as a hobby. Yeah. Right? So, like, what I do, even like on weekends, if I have nothing else going on and I have time to stuff I need to do for the business when my daughter's napping or she's with my wife or whatever, I'll work on the business because it's like, that's my hobby in a way. Like, I enjoy working. You just
love it. You love what you do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the separation. Like, I think a lot of people make a decision to get into a business just based off of finances. Like, I bet a lot of people who listen to this podcast are in a job right now that they're doing because it pays them. It's not what they wake up every morning and are like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to go do this. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you find a business that you've fallen in love with, then it is your hobby. And exactly. and then that opens up a whole nother world of challenges because then it bleeds into everything.
Correct.
Like you said, right? And then it just happens to be that thing. But I think that the course correcting that you learn by opening your own business is is not inevitable. It is inevitable, but invaluable to be able to teach and show your children that this is how life works. Like, business is just life. Like, you didn't know what person to hire. You didn't know you needed a CRM, or maybe you did, but at some point in your life, you didn't know what a CRM was or needed a CRM. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. I think every step, even chiropractic school, right, and even certain jobs prior to going back to chiropractic school set us up to where you are. They're all steps in a certain direction. And as I think there's a saying that says, you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So each step took us to that direction, regardless of the past. You're now here because of those steps.
Yeah.
So every little thing, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why as you do it, you're uncovering certain things about yourself and about the business, about the partners you work with, of certain roles. Things just kind of fall into place. And I noticed that happening. And that's even with, being a parent and being a father and being a spouse, and all those things fall into place and you find your flow state with everything.
Well, I think that's, what was it? Edison, or I don't know, one of those inventors said something, I don't know, that like, basically the harder he worked, the more lucky he was, or something like that. I don't know, but basically,
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the exact quote either.
But it's something along those lines. And basically, the more effort you put into something, the more lucky you become because your work is being rewarded. And I think with starting that company and putting it on a credit card, what you found a need, and you were just like, I know I have the skill. Like, I like breaking everything down to its simplest thing. You found a need, you saw the need, you realized you could fill the need, and you fucking went after it.
So it was interesting.
It's that simple.
Yeah, you're right. So like breaking it down, like we saw a need within our own office of like, how do we get away from insurance companies? And we figured out that,
well, then that made it a need that was emotionally attached to you too. That wasn't just like, oh, they need toilet paper in the place next door, I should sell them toilet paper. Like, that's not the same.
Exactly.
thing.
And with our business model, as of right now, we're the only ones really doing this type of business model. And so it's kind of unique and it's weird when we talk to doctors. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't really get it. And then we explain like, oh, okay, I really get it now.
Yeah.
So there was a need within our practice, and my partner's been practicing a lot longer than me. So we saw the need earlier than me, but then I saw it as well. And as we were talking to patients and positioning laser as like, that's what you need, they're like, okay, I'll try it. But then the results you saw, and you're like, okay, so there's something here, something special about this. This is how we're going to craft it into business in our office. And as we talked to other doctors, they wanted to kind of get away from the insurance companies as well. And they wanted an additional tool, right, to help their patients. Because listen, chiropractic is great. And I think there's a lot of benefits to it because I still get adjusted all the time. I still adjust patients. But sometimes when it comes to the extremities, comes to the orthopedic conditions, that instead of referring them to an orthopedist, you now have a solution in your office and they'll pay cash for it. Yeah. It's so much easier to have a patient spend money on laser therapy than telling them it's $45 for an adjustment or $60 for an adjustment, which is crazy because the lasers double that or triple that at times.
Right. It's so interesting how that's a whole nother topic. I mean, let's just talk about it because my office is different than we've talked about. How it's not even like, maybe it's time to, call it something else.
I'll touch on that when you're ready to touch on that. We can talk about it.
Yeah. You can go ahead and talk about it, but we'll talk about that. But before that, when you're in that model of the insurance, which I never went into, I just have a lot of friends that are in it. When you're in that model, you're conditioning a client or a patient that someone else is dictating the value of your care based off of this arbitrary number that an insurance company comes up with. And so I don't know how to explain that. It's almost like the doctor's giving their power away. And then you can feel that in the patient, like to the patient, it gets communicated. Like, I'm not really in control here about what's being charged and how it's being done. And you're getting the same standard of
it's tough because, coming from that model,
and people who don't understand that model, this might not be the best conversation for them, but it's okay.
I mean, it's tough when you're in a provider that's also on par with insurance companies and you see how much you're being screwed, because really what you are. I mean, they'll go, well, no, it's not 80. We're going to pay you 40. It's just, they dictate what it is. And I get the person who's coming in, the potential patient or the patient that's coming in, they want to use their insurance because they're paying an ass load for all this thing. Yeah. And they want to get the value out of it. So I understand that perspective. So the whole model is broken.
Yeah.
Right. It's a sick care system. As you know, it's not based for people to stay healthy, get healthy.
Correct.
And then we always talk about this in my office with patients. They go, well, my insurance doesn't cover it. They'll throw that up first. And I'll go, well, no, it doesn't. But I'll tell you what your insurance covers: amputations, medications, surgeries. They don't cover anything to get
prevent
you well.
The amputation, the surgery, and all the other issues. Right?
So, again, it's a sick care system. And that, unfortunately, that's what it is.
Sure.
I don't ever see it really changing. So we developed this model to kind of combat that. And it's more of a mission, too. So every doctor that comes aboard, like, they see the mission. They see the understanding. Because, again, the chiropractic thought process in that, like, we're like the outcasts of the doctor world, right? We're outcasts of helping people because we don't fall into that medical model.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of all aligned. And to bring that further into the whole dad and father side of things, you're working on this business all the time. You're constantly thinking about things, and it's tough to compartmentalize sometimes when you're supposed to be with your family, supposed to be with your child or daughter or son, to really pay attention to them, right? So again, it's about turning it off and switching it back on and really being present. I mean, there's times now, to go back to that side of it, where I could be reading my daughter a book before bed, right? And I'll constantly have a thought. I'll be thinking about something with the office or the business, and I go, wait, no, I got to stop. Like, this time is not going to be like this forever.
Happens,
right?
All
she's already
fucking time.
Yeah,
man.
she's already 3, and I'm like, this is not going to be like this forever. Yeah. stop thinking about this, be focused in the moment, read the book, put her to bed, and then you can do what I got to do. Yeah. And I think you're probably the same way where it's tough sometimes. It bleeds in and you go, no. Fuck that. I got to check this right now.
To peel back the curtain, I would say that it happens multiple times a day, every single day. Like I'll pick her up, we'll be super present, and then we'll be driving down the highway, we're listening to music, and I'm thinking about 6 things I got to do while she's singing the song, instead of singing the song with her or whatever. And
exactly.
And then, we get home, and there's just life in general that happens too, like doing laundry, but
true.
It bleeds in I'm constantly checking myself with that
because
all
it's
the time.
Right?
Yes.
It's time is the most valuable asset, and people say it all the time. But I've only started realizing that over the last 4 or 5 years, more so now that I have a child.
Yeah. It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Time is just like, all right, well, what am I allocating my time?
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I got to drive here to do this. And you're like, oh shit, like that's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I got to drive over here to do this. And then I got to go to the post office. You're like, all right, well, I'm not going to get this done because then I have to, so then it's like a time fight for where you spend your energy.
Well, it's funny because since Sloan we've co-slept with her forever. I still co-sleep with her. I love it. She loves it. I think it's amazing. The research is through the roof with it. Like, it's a great thing to do. And if you don't do it, no big deal. It's not hindering or hurting the child either way. But I used to, before Sloan, 4:45 was my time. Like, that's when I got up every single day. I fucking loved it. I love mornings. I love doing work.
Why
4:45,
not 5?
It's before 5 o'clock. And I just know that's when everybody else gets up. And I used to have this really bad competitive edge to me that, like, if I knew everybody else got up at 5, I had to get up before everybody else.
Respect. Okay.
No one else knows that I'm competing with all of them in that. Like, that's how, like, my fucking mind was, like, wired until Sloan, she started unwiring that, which I'm grateful for, because it didn't matter if I, like, went to bed at 12, I'd still get up at 4:45 just out of principle. Then I would drag ass all fucking day like an idiot and not really get that much done. But I got up at 4:45, so she changed a lot for me in terms of that. But she did this the other day, and she's always done this. And I know co-sleeping will eventually end, and I love it. I love, like, the intimacy and the hugging and, like, just being connected with your child is amazing. And the other day, my alarm went off, and I shut it off, and I went to get out of bed, and I just feel this, like, slaps me on the chest really hard and, like, digs her fingers in, and she goes, "Too early, Dad. Come cuddle." And I'm like, okay.
Like, I guess I have to.
Like, I'm not, but everything in my mind was like, you got to get this done. You got to get this done. You haven't had alone time. Like, you have to finish these things. And those things still didn't get done. It's like 4 days later, because that was the time to do them. But I was like, fuck it. I don't care. When I look back in life, those 3 tasks that I need to do, I can't even remember them now. It's 4 days. But I'll probably always remember her slapping me in the chest and being like, and I'm like, fuck it. And sinking into that and allowing that to just be a part of my life over the last 6 years has changed so much for me, because now I don't compete with everybody without them being aware of it. Like, I used to do stupid shit. Let's say you and I started a Netflix TV show. You're like, oh, dude, this show's awesome. Watch it. I would stay up for like 2 days to finish all the episodes before you, not tell you that I did. But why am I competing about the Netflix? Like, I had all these fucked up things.
Yeah.
And she has, without trying, helped all of those types of things go away.
So your daughter's almost like your therapist.
Yeah.
That's great.
They're like your most valuable therapist if you allow it to be, because you start to see how you want to live life. I didn't want to live life that way. I just trained myself that I have to be hyper competitive at everything, and it's the only way to succeed. Is
interesting.
I have to outwork you.
The thing too with the punch list and the task list, every single day there's always going to be a list of shit that needs to get done.
Yep.
And when you clutch or you close all those things, 20 more are going to pop up. So no matter what, so no matter what, there's going to be things that have to get done. There's going to be curveballs here and there. Nothing is from A, B, C. It's A to Z.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So you have to enjoy those times that you can while you can, because they're not going to be 3 forever. They're not going to be 6 forever. As you know, your daughter's a little older than mine. So those times move quickly. Yeah. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Oh,
those punch lists are always going to be there.
Always. And it changes the blink of an eye. Like, I saw her sitting on the couch the other day, and she's like 6, but she's sitting like an adult now. Like now she's got like her leg crossed and her hand up, and like, did something. She's like with her hands, and I'm like, fuck, it's changing too fast, and it's like, so I get it. I sinking into that though, and just allowing it to happen. I'm sure there's dads out there that just need to hear that it's okay, because the rest of the world, you listen to a lot of these entrepreneurs, you listen to a lot of these people talk, and no one tells you about the back end side. And it's like, you know what? And I definitely have mentioned this on here before, that Jocko, I've never read Jocko's books. I've been told I'll love them. I have like 30 books that I still have to read before I toss it on the pile of all the other ones, but I've never read them. But I was listening years and years ago after Sloan was born. I think he might have been on Rogan or whatever. I'm not sure what I was listening to. He
definitely was at some point. Yeah.
So I think that might have been it, or whatever he was on. I was listening to it while I was driving. And he was speaking, and someone asked him how he's able to do all of these businesses with 3 children. And he's like, hey, I can't answer that right now. I need to think about it tonight, which I loved that he's that honest. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Let me think about it. Come back to me tomorrow. Right. So he says that, and I hope I meet him someday, because I want to tell him this story, because this story was a pivotal change in my life. And he said, I can do all these things now because my children don't need me the way they needed me before. Maybe they were like 11 and older, I think, or something. And he's like, they don't need me the way they needed me when they were 2, 4, 6, 8. And I was like, oh my God, that's the stuff that I hope people hear and understand. Like, the business is okay. The business can wait. Maybe it's not growing as fast as it would grow if you were a single dad, or a single man with no children, or just had a partner and no kids. But this little being is worth its weight in gold. I don't care if you build a business that's worth $10 billion. That little thing is worth so much more. And being able to sink into, like, I got plenty of time. It's okay. The child's the forever game. The business is what it is.
Exactly.
It just brought me a lot of relief in a time where I was like, I can't do it all.
You're always going to find, if you're a driven person, you're always going to find a way to make money, no matter what it is. Maybe not financially where you want to be, but there's always going to be a way for you, if you need to make money, or addition to get a second job at night while the child's sleeping, do Uber, go clean shit somewhere. It doesn't matter. If you need to make money and you're driven, there's always a way. There's people that need to make money, but they bitch and complain about it, right? And they don't do things to make money. There's no action steps.
Yeah.
It's just complaining.
Yeah.
So do what you have to do to make the money if you feel that's what you need, right? And sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about the time. Sometimes it's about, like, willing to sacrifice a certain amount of dollars to have time to make it up the money on the back end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. To backload the money. Because sometimes people are just like grind, money. I don't care. I'll talk to my kid later. I'll miss the practice. But I don't see that. It's funny, because prior to having my daughter, I would be that person, right? Like, that's always how I thought I was going to be.
Same.
The grind.
Same.
Child will come. I'll go to a practice here and there, but I got to get the business in. I got to get everything's working. I got to go see the patients. Got to do this.
Same.
And as I've changed and I've transformed, I've noticed, like, that's always going to be there. I'll do whatever I have to do to make the money. And my journey is my journey, and my thought process. And, again, everyone's always right in their own mind.
Oh, of
right.
course,
so a lot of people might not agree to
course.
that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. We could agree to disagree. But I feel like family, I think, this year I really wanted to focus on, 3 F's, and forgive me. It's really fitness, family, finances.
Okay.
Right. And I say it that way because fitness for me, if I'm not well and I'm not taking care of my mental state and physical state, I can't be good for my family.
Yeah.
And then family is important, obviously, for what family is. And then finances, finances are always going to be there. There's always going to have to be a bill to pay. There's always going to have to be a student loan. There's always going to have to be something that you need to throw money at to make it go away.
Yep.
Right. And that's different for everybody.
Of course.
Different levels to all these things.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, like, that's kind of something that I always have in my mind now. And I'm glad you made me think of that again, because I think that's important.
It is. you also brought up like, you got to do whatever you got to do to make money. And I just spoke to a, I don't know, they had me on someone I'm friends with was teaching a course or a 5-day challenge thing. And they had me come on and speak about like authenticity and everything because as people get to know me, this is how I am all the time, right? I just am who I am, take it or leave it. And somehow, as I was just going in my stream of thought, I started talking. I guess I felt that people needed to hear it, but like, we're so afraid. It comes back to authenticity. We're so afraid of judgment. I'm afraid of I'm a pretty authentic person. I'm still afraid of judgment. I still get nervous before I do things, right? And so, but I was explaining to them, the only people that are judging you are, I'm going to use the term, less than you. And what I mean by that is, I have a friend right now who was making pecans and selling pecans through the holidays. She needs to make some extra cash. She makes these really great pecans. And, you know, she's like, I'm going to hustle and just make these pecans. And she's like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. And I'm like, anybody who's judging you for selling pecans and thinking you're less than is actually less than wishing they had the balls to go sell the pecans, because there's zero chance I'm going to see someone out here hustling pecans and be like, aha, like you're hustling pecans. I'm going to be like, get it, fucking get it. Like any millionaire is going to be like, build it, girl.
So it's funny
like,
you say that.
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of kind of what you're saying, but I thought about it the same, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think about that also, like, you know, you see the kids selling lemonade, or you see the kids that run around with the boxes of candy and sell bars, you know. I respect the hell out of that.
Oh, I buy that shit all the time.
Even if I'm not going to eat it.
No, I did.
And I have cash on me. I'll buy a bar. I'll go to the stand that's selling water, or it's going to be lemonade. And it's like $2. I'll throw them a $5 because I respect the hustle
all the time.
And that's a trait that I feel like we're losing right now. Kids are too entitled. Kids don't want to work. And I think there's different levels to that too. Kids don't want to work, and they want to fall back on, you know, just, I'm going to try, but I don't really like this one part of it. So I'm just going to try something else. You know, I'm going to be a YouTube star, right? And there's value to that 100%.
Of course.
But I feel like it's like being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Right. So there's levels.
Every single person on the planet can sell lemonade. Not every person can be a YouTube star.
Correct.
So learn how to sell the fucking lemonade and then work on being the YouTube star. You can do it at the same time.
But it's building those skills.
It is building the skills. It's building the hustle. It's building the grind. I saw someone selling lemonade once. I didn't have any cash on me. I had time. I drove like 5 miles away, found an ATM, got the money, came back, gave the kid like $20. You'd have thought I gave him $20,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, I literally looked at him and I was like, keep doing this, and gave him the 20. He was like, you know, and I'm like, just keep doing it, kid.
Just from that lemonade stand, that kid's going to learn business management, accounting, sales by talking to people. Yeah. Just by having that stand. Like every job and everything that you do, right? For example, like when I was in after regular school, like regular university, right? I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So then I worked for a little while, but I've always done something with sales and marketing. So I learned in various different positions, whether it would be like Verizon Wireless, whether it would be selling door-to-door B2B or B2C, all those various things built you and built skills to take you to the next level. Yep. And then you learn about different technologies. You build skills that way. So now you have a whole toolbox full of stuff that you can apply to, whether it's a new business or whether it's helping somebody else or coaching someone. So I have a full toolbox like you do. Our toolboxes are a little different, but we each have different toolboxes to apply to different things. Yep. And I think by kids having a lemonade stand or going door to door shoveling, which that's not happening anymore, even in the state, because you're going to get shot at some point by somebody. Like you can't knock at someone's door anymore in a place where it is snowing and go, hey, can I shovel your driveway? $10.
Fucking crazy.
People won't allow it.
We did that shit all the time. Yeah. We made so much. In college, we would do it. In college, what we did, so played football, lived in the town was football. And that's all, I mean, the school was built on its football team. And I would put on my sweatshirt and my beanie when it would snow, and I would take my football shirt and I'd put it over top so everybody knew I was on the football team, because they definitely want to support the kid shoveling driveways with this football 100%. Stuff on. And so I'd make fucking $130, $240 in a day.
Felt like thousands.
Oh my God, just shoveling driveways. just, and then my workout was in for the day. And then I had $240 to buy that. Back then, that's a lot of fucking Keystone Light.
As a high schooler?
In college.
Oh, college. Sorry, college.
But I mean, $240. That's like 4 months worth of Keystone Ice.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. And again, you're building skills. You're building relationships. You know, you never know where those relationships are going to take you.
And then you find out that if you over deliver, they fucking tipped you.
Yeah,
like if you did extra, it wasn't just their driveway. You know, it was fucking great.
So I have a story for you, and you just made me think of something. So when I was 17. I was in Jersey still, and there was a gas station across from my house.
Okay.
One of my good friends, best friends, we got jobs there together, right? We were working like weird shifts because we were 17. We just did it for cash. We were getting paid like, I don't know, at that time, like $9 an hour or whatever it was. But in New Jersey, if people that don't know, it's full service gas station.
Yeah.
So like,
I always forget that when I go to New Jersey.
So like in Florida, you pump your own gas. In Jersey, we pump your gas.
Yeah. It's a lost art that I wish more places did.
Exactly.
I fucking love it.
So we would spin it. We would say we were petroleum distributionary engineers, right? So we were young. We had fun with it, and there was actually regulars that would come.
Yeah,
which is funny on the way home from work, whatever.
Of course.
So my buddy and I had this idea. We're like, hey, let's really give customer service to the people that come, wash their windows, see if they need anything. We started doing that, and we kind of developed a little system where every tip we made. Because like now we're getting tips. We're working for tips. We're thinking of ways to get tips. Every tip we made, at the end of the night, we'd pull it and go get dinner or something.
Sure.
Right? It got to the point where we were doing this hustle so hard. I mean, we were making like 40, 45, 50 bucks extra a shift. Right? And for someone at 17...
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Because people give $1 here, $2.
Especially 20 years ago or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. And just from doing that, you got to figure out yourself of how to talk to people a certain way, what worked, what didn't work. So even unknowing it at the time, there were skills building.
Of course.
So it was just...
This is why it's important to have jobs.
Yes.
Because you just learn shit.
Yeah.
And learning, your life can't get worse by learning something.
Correct.
It just can't. No. and so I fucking love it. Like I was at, you reminded me when you said the candy bars, I was at a restaurant sitting at the bar waiting to go to a cigar lounge. I think it might be called Smoke on the Water. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it in Fort Lauderdale.
No, this one's near like the arena, I think, like the hockey rink arena.
But down by like Broward County.
Maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
Know. It's the same place I saw Jordan Peterson. It's like right near there, but whatever. So, and this kid walks in with a box of fucking candy and asked me at the bar if I want anything. And I'm like, I literally looked at him like, I don't want your candy, but I'm so happy you're doing this. Here's $20. Like, and he was I just love seeing it, dude.
Yeah,
it was like,
you respect the hustle.
Yes.
You respect
and how uncomfortable it was for him to walk into a restaurant where he's not supposed to be selling fucking candy bars and ask just to maybe get $1. I fucking loved it. Mm-hmm. I used to sell candy bars at the bowling alley because the bowling alley was like the place to be on Tuesday nights. Full of cigarette smoke. Mm-hmm. My mom would fucking drop me off and sit in the car, and I'd run in with a box of fucking candy and sell all of the candy because we had to sell them for like football or whatever.
I remember those days.
All of the fucking candy in like 10 minutes. Just from everybody just boozing and smoking their cigarettes and eating Reese's Pieces, and I was selling them. It was the best.
That's great. I remember those days, the bowling alleys with the smoke, and you could smoke indoors. There's no health ramifications.
No,
it's just,
oh my God.
There's ventilation systems.
I'll never forget walking in. It was like a different, if you could walk through fog, like it was just 30 lanes of just chain smokers.
You have to burn your clothes when you left there.
It
was terrible. Oh my goodness.
God, those are the days. That was awesome. What else should we talk about? What else are we going to talk about?
The other thing I want to touch on too, like going back to this, like that you only see the successes from certain entrepreneurs and business people that put that out on the internet. You don't only see how many other businesses have they tried and failed. Right?
That's a good point.
How many other things have they done? Okay. And then tried to build up, but failed. But is it a fail? Right? It's maybe a fail financially, but what do they have to do to try to build that business? And what do they learn?
Yeah.
Like, so, I learned how to build a Shopify store, right? 7 years ago by trying to build a product. Didn't work out, but I know how to build a store now.
Same. Yeah.
Right. So now I know how to build a store. I've taken it to this business, and we have a supplement line for the Relief Now Laser Masters business.
Yeah.
Okay. But I could bang a store out in an hour because I remember how to do it. And
Which John got some of them, said they work great, by the way. So it's good.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So it's, again, goes back to, I guess, the drills build the skills, right? So,
well, and I one of the things I preach to Sloan is just, I don't preach it in this term, but basically fall in love with failing.
Mm-hmm.
Because just fail your way there. I failed my way through chiropractic school.
I think 85% of them did.
Every fucking profession did. You know, I mean, you learn by failing. So I was doing something.
It's never a failure if you learn a lesson.
Correct. I was doing something with her the other day, and it was new. Fuck, what was it? I can't remember, but it was something, and she knew she wasn't going to be able to get it the first time. And she was literally just like, well, that's all right. Just get this one out of the way so that I have I'm better at it next time. I'm like, that's fucking it. There you go. Just get that one out of the way so that you're better the next fucking time. You know?
You're right.
Also, I don't know how this came in about. It was when she was, okay. So her mom got her, or Santa, I'm not sure which one, but someone in that house got her, a Game Boy, like the old Game Boys we used to play.
Was the old school Game Boy?
Yeah, with like 500 old school games on it. It's like Super Mario's is on there or whatever. So she's not very good because she's never played a video game before, and she's also 6, like whatever. And that's what she had said it to that. She's like, well, I died on this one, so I just get it out of the way so I'm better next time. And if you ever want to feel like the baddest video game player on the planet, get Mario for your 6-year-old and make it to level 2 without dying. Oh my God, Dad, you're so good. And then like immediately I die in round 2. But like to her, it's like, you're so good at video games. I'm walking around with this big swagger the rest of the day. Like
Mario King.
Shit. Yeah, I'm like,
that's great.
Fucking Mario Brothers. And then math is another one. So she'll just like, I had a group chat with my buddies from college, and we were laughing because I'm like, I can't remember my math teacher, it might have been my science teacher, McPherson. I don't remember which one was my math teacher, but I wasn't very good at math. And according to Sloan, I'm a fucking genius at math because she'll randomly just be like, Dad, 10 plus 7. I'm like, 17. She's like, oh, you know.
Blew her mind.
And I'm like, suck it, Miss Pearson, or whatever her name was.
No one else is going to be the superhero to your kid or to your daughter than you are. No, you are superhero dad. You know, you could be the dumbest thing you think, but they'll go, whoa.
Yeah. Cause you know what 10 plus 17 is like that, or 10 plus 7 is like that. You know, you're like,
so you're right. And there's that mindset. And I think the other thing that I think you could probably contest to this, since your daughter's a little older than mine, by how you parent and how your, her mom parents and how my wife and I parent, we have to combat the other parents that are out there, especially in school. So my daughter's in daycare right now. Like, you know, she's 3, so she's in daycare. And some of these kids, the way they're raised,
it's fucking exhausting.
I mean, it's exhausting because these kids in their school, I mean, they're dropping fuck and shit and all this stuff. and my daughter said it, and we have to like re-engineer her thinking of like, you can't say that. This is why. But these parents are just, I mean, listen, they're shitty parents. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you know, that could be subjective, whatever, but like,
your 3-year-old shouldn't be dropping fuck.
Exactly. And it's not the school's fault,
right?
Because the school can't regulate every single kid in that school what they're doing unless they hear it or something. But
well, you know, so I agree with everything you just said, and there is a huge portion of your time. Sloan's in a good school where people kind of tend to think the same way, so it's really good. But there is a huge portion of your parenting journey that is going to be geared towards stewarding her mindset in a way. Like I just got a message from, you know, I've gotten messages. I'm good friends with her jiu-jitsu instructor, and I'll get like the days I don't take her, she'll like, if something happens, you know, she was like yesterday, Sloan got cracked on the nose, held it together. Then ended up crying, you know,
the delayed cry.
But I mean, if anybody's ever been fucking even flicked in the nose, you know how it doesn't. Yeah. So, but she held it together, but she didn't leave. She stayed on the mat, right? Like, and then it happened to someone else, and then that person, you know, maybe doesn't want to stay, or if it happens to someone else, they don't want to stay on the mat. Right. And it's like, it's okay to not want to stay on the mat. It's okay to want your parents. And maybe if I was there, she would have wanted to come sit in my lap too, for sure. Her grandma was there with her and she wanted to stay, she stayed, but it's building those like little mental resiliencies in your child. I guess that's the point of like me. They're character builders, and it's not wrong. Like if I'd have been there and that happened and she wanted to come sit on my lap, I would have hugged her, I would have held her, but I would have then stewarded her back onto the mat when she had regained her composure of her emotions. I'm making up the second part that a child walks off the mat. Like that was all that part's all made up. I wasn't there. That's not a thing. I'm just giving that as an example of like, hey, in any time she fell off of a tree, she fell probably at least 5 feet off of a fucking tree.
Sounds like it hurts.
It hurts. Cracked herself, knocked the wind out of her. And it did not feel good. And I went up, I picked her up, I held her, we did our thing. And after about 10 minutes, when we calmed the nervous system down and regained the composure, we went right back to the tree. We're going back to the tree, right? And you're going to climb on the tree. And I'm here to spot you and support you, but we're going back to the tree.
I love that. It builds that to not be afraid of that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Now she still loves to climb trees. But if you rush over and you scoop them and you're like, oh my God, my poor baby, let's go home, and like all this shit, then they're not going to climb the fucking tree again.
You just, you awarded the wrong attitude by doing that, right?
Yes.
So like, I forgot what, but you're right. I would have done something very similar. Now my daughter's 3 climbing trees. We have a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, but either way, it's just little things. Like, she smashes her hand with the car. Well, don't stop playing with the car.
Yeah.
Keep doing
get over that emotion, and we'll go back to that skill or
whatever it is. Walking, all the same shit. Like, I mean, I think it's super valuable. There's something else you said that I wasn't going to comment on, but the hangover's kicking in.
Okay, this guy coffee.
I already had a large. They make one bigger than this.
So what is that?
This is the Venti.
Okay. What's bigger than that?
I don't know. Trenti? I don't know. I'm just making that part up, but there's one that's bigger than this. I accidentally got one given to me that was bigger than this. That was a pumpkin spice latte during pumpkin spice season. It was the greatest day of my life. Someone had ordered it and didn't pick it up or something. They were like, does anybody want a second? I'm like, woohoo.
I'll take it. That doesn't sound good to me in terms of anything. I'm on a flavored coffee.
Pumpkin spice. I'm such a basic white bitch when it comes to pumpkin spice.
You said it, not me.
I fucking love it. I don't care who knows it.
Okay.
Coming out of the closet with my pumpkin spice.
Oh, you're phenomenal.
Yeah, it's delicious. What else we want to talk about? I got about 5 more minutes. Is anything else you want to share? Anything else going on with the family?
I can't think of anything. Anything new happen with you? I mean,
no, just raising a little badass is exhausting. Holidays were, I would say I now more than ever, don't want to send her to school. Not because she doesn't like it, not because it's amazing, because I love spending time with my daughter. In Christmas break, I didn't do daycares, extra cares. My ex and I were
split the time.
Yeah, we split the time as it is, and we're both kind of like, well, we just want to spend more time with her anyway, so let's just do this thing and figure it out. And it took a while, but then once I kind of figured it out, I got into that routine. And when I had to take her back to school for the first day, I was like, fuck, man, I don't.
Well, as they get older, and as they get older, they develop their actual personalities, and they can communicate, and it's like having a little friend with you all the time.
All the time.
Sometimes they're, they have their moments and whatnot, but I can definitely understand. And the other thing people don't realize that don't have kids, it's a different kind of tired.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of exhaustion that it's a second job. It's I can't even explain.
You know what I thought about doing? I thought about offering people that think they're tired or that the work is hard or whatever to pay me $500 to spend 24 hours at my house and be like, this is how it's done with a kid and 2 businesses and making sure the house is put together. I promise you're not going to think you're tired.
I mean, I'm sure, especially being a single dad like that, I'm sure it's super tough because I put a lot of emphasis on my wife doing a lot of this stuff in the house, which helps me tremendously.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, I don't know if I'd be where I am right now without that extra help and support. I mean, it's awesome. It helps
Yeah. It's awesome.
A lot.
You just have to kick it into. It's like that same.
You have to do it.
You have to do it. You don't know what's possible until you have to do something.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I fucking did it. And now this is the new set point. Like I guarantee you, and I hope you and your wife stay together forever. But if for some reason you went home last night and she was like, hey, you guys got a divorce, you would make it. You would be able to keep doing all of it.
I think anyone would be able to do that because we have to do what you have to do. Sure. But it's also one of those.
You have the help.
Yeah. But the other thing is if the body's very resilient, right? As you know, like the body bounces back, the body can adapt, especially if put in the right conditions. You could really put anything and get anything done if you really had to.
Of course.
If you're willing to put the effort in and set your mind to do it. A lot of it's mental.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all mental. I mean, everything comes down to the mindset. Again, one of the things that it's important to make your child go back to the thing that potentially hurt them is you're developing the resilient mindset that they can handle everything. You, Mike, did not know how to take a laser business from A to B day one. Mm-hmm. You knew a few things and you started to implement those things and you course corrected along the way. But because you developed a resilient mindset for 25 years before that, you knew that whatever came up between point A and point B, you would be able to figure out.
Yeah.
That is your job as a parent, to teach them the mindset that, hey, I'm going to go from A to B, and whatever the fuck gets in my way, I'm going to zig, I'm going to zag, I'm going to jump over it, but I got it.
It's also to show them, too, I agree with you. And touching on that, I think it's also very important that as a parent to show your child to that not everything's going to be given to you, that these are the circumstances. Like, there was an issue where we had some kids over the other day, or with my daughter's friend over. He had a bagel we were having, and then the parents cut the bagel in half, but he wanted it whole. So the kid lost his shit, right? Wouldn't eat it, So, they had to take the kid outside and kind of calm him down and go, listen, this is the situation. However they explained it. But this is the situation. You're not getting another bagel.
Yeah.
This is the bagel you have.
Of course.
And it's basically showing that in life, this is a situation. No one's going to help you or do it, right? Yeah. For you. You have to figure that out and go, this is what it is, and make the best of this situation.
And also next time you're welcome to say, please don't cut my bagel.
Yeah.
But
it's a learning experience. Kid's 3. Yep. So it's about building those character traits.
I had tons of those things with Slim. Tons of them. But you just stay principled and you know what you're teaching them. And I promise you, if you're hungry enough, you'll eat the fucking bagel if I cut it into 40 pieces. Like, exactly. I mean, it's just, that's what happens.
Yeah.
All right. We're about to be done. Would you like to touch on, my care, my adjustments? I'm going to start trying to get better about promoting myself, but
so Rocco and I, as whoever listens to this may know this, may not, I don't know. We're both chiropractors. We practice very differently. And to the point where Rocco and I were talking about this, and I said, what I think he does is not even chiropractic. Yeah. And I just think it's different. And if you don't know, you don't know. It's really hard to explain. Sure. He would have to get into the nitty gritty of that. Yeah. And I think you should. I think you should do a podcast talking about why what you do is different and how that process works. Yeah. Because when you explain what you do and how you do it, and if there's an instrument and people go, well, okay, yeah, all right, crazy person, a little bit whimsical to me. Like, I don't get it. Doesn't make, but when you can, because you can explain it very well. Yeah. You're really passionate about this side of chiropractic. Which it is a chiropractic technique per se, but I think what you do and how you do it is a lot different than 90% of the chiropractors do it. Yeah, you're a doctor of chiropractic because that's just the route that you went. But I think what you do is much more than what that doctorate.
I would agree with you.
Does, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I would agree with you. And I'm going to start. I think this year I will start talking a little bit more about what I do. I didn't want this. I never want this podcast to become. I just want the purity of like what it's like to be a father, and maybe I will peel the door back a little bit and start talking more about what I do. It's just, I never, everybody always tells me like, why don't you ever talk about The Office? Like, how do people know? Like, people have no idea the results you get. Tell them on the podcast.
Because it's not about that.
Right. That's why.
I mean, maybe you do a second one, or maybe you have an episode that, is dedicated
to that.
Yeah, you could, but you're right. It's not about that. So I see why you haven't.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about promoting that business. It's about doing what we've spoke about today, getting the understanding of different fathers and how we implement our ideas and thoughts and how to be better dads and parents to kids to create a better world. Because the kids are the future of everything. Everything. Right. When we're dead and buried, the kids are going to still be there doing things, and those kids are going to have kids. And it's very important to have these certain traits.
Yeah. and philosophies and values inherently passed down because we're losing them. And if we fucking lose them, we lose everything. You know, the other day, we'll end on this. The other day, Sloan, and I was going to make a video, but I deleted social media for just the apps. I didn't delete my accounts. But Sloan said, Dad, I can't remember how it got brought up because I should have did the video at the time, but it was like, do you know that there's places where women can't leave the house without covering their face and head? And I was like, oh, how am I going to answer this? Right. And she's like, I don't know if I'd like that. And I'm like, she's like, because then like, I don't get to make my hair beautiful every day, you know? And I'm like, okay, so that is their culture. She's like, well, what is culture? I'm like, God damn it. I don't even know how to explain culture. So I'm like, okay. I said, so Sloan, they have certain values and beliefs, and those are the values and beliefs that they have, that's how women should present themselves. And they've thought about that for a really long time. She's like, okay. I said, but here in America, we have something called freedom that we have fought for. And that freedom.
Sorry, you said that was just. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I'm like, and that freedom allows you to choose if you want to present yourself that way to the world, not being forced to present yourself that way to the world.
Couldn't agree more.
And that is why this country is one of the best countries in the world. And if I don't have those conversations with my daughter, then we grow up and then we lose the idea that this is a free fucking country to where you can dress like that and be respected or not and be respected. And that's just one of the many ways that like giving them those little subtle cues of, hey, it is a privilege to live in this fucking country. It is amazing. Men and women have died so that that person can present themselves that way and without being forced to.
Absolutely true.
And she was like, oh, like they get it. Like just talk to them about it. Like truth and honesty. They're little people. They're little people. And even if it doesn't sink in, I promise you it's sinking in. The things I hear other parents tell me like that she says or does, I'm like, oh my God, it sinks in, you know, and I want her to understand that this is a fucking amazing free country. And we need to keep it that way by passing down the inherent beliefs and values that represent that.
Couldn't agree more.
Boom. We're going to end it on that. Thank you as always, brother. It was amazing. We'll do another one.
Absolutely.